welcome back to the Sheldon Show. So today what I have going is I'm going to have an interview with these two guys, Neil, Amani, and we are going to talk about relationships, right? What makes relationship works? What is a relationship? We're going to have that conversation today. So I'm going to have them introduce themselves just a little before we get into it. And I'm going to have Neil go first, and he can share a little bit about himself, and then we'll go over to Amani next. So, Neil.
All right. So I'm Neil. How you guys doing? I was a student previously and mentee of Dr. Smart here. I'm a recording artist, and I also like other things as well. We'll talk about that as we go.
Well, I'm Amani. I was his former student, and he's also my mentor. I'm academic, and actually trying to graduate maybe in few semesters from now.
Okay. All right. So let's start off by talking, because this is something that's always, first of all, when does a relationship begin? If you're talking to someone, when does a relationship actually begin? And how would you define a relationship?
So what we'll have to specify first, I think, is
romantic relationship?
What exact kind of relationship?
Okay, a romantic relationship.
A romantic relationship. Well, I think the root word of romantic relationship definitely, or at least if it's not the root word, it's probably, romance is probably very much important. And there's a lot of physical relationships that might not necessarily be romantic.
That's true.
So I think personally it's when you guys actually start feeling attached to each other. You start feeling an actual connection that's not just a physical attraction, that's not just an infatuation, but when you actually are attached to each other in a certain way that's
and that's a good point, because there is research that suggests that you can have what's called eros, E-R-O-S, and it says that the relationship is based on just physical attraction. So it's just sex.
right.
So what I'm trying to say is that just kind of the way you guys are being attracted, or when you start being attracted to each other, that's when the relationship starts, right?
No, I wouldn't necessarily say that. I would say that it's when you guys, your eyes and your mind are in it. I'm thinking more once your hearts start entwining with each other, because there's a lot of physical relationships where the heart's not in it. It's just people going through the motion to become satisfied or otherwise stimulated by each other,
Okay. I think I have a different idea or opinion on what I think about relationship. I think I said last time again, there's three different types of relationships. So for example, let's say friendship. So I see a relationship as friendship. So we have three friendships. We have a casual friend, a close friend, and an intimate friend. So you start being in a relationship with somebody when you now in a friendship, intimacy friendship.
Okay.
That's what I think. I think that's what he meant by when you start being attracted to each other.
Okay.
When you start thinking about each other, start working together, sharing meals, texting all the time. That's what I call intimacy friendship.
Okay.
Now you're now together, you think about these people. So all those stages.
So it's interesting that you use the word, and let me just go ahead and let's talk about it before we move on and I forget, because you're using the word, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, I think it's a good thing. You're using the word friendship when you're explaining relationships.
Yeah.
Tell me why.
Because that's why it all starts. That's the foundation of everything.
Okay.
Because before you become a friend, I need to know what you like, what you don't like, because I don't want to do something to you that for you it's a taboo. I don't want to do something for me that for me it's a taboo. So I want to be your friend before I jump into that kind of intimacy relationship.
Okay. Right. And obviously that moves at a different pace for a lot of people. Right. And because one of the arguments a lot of times with relationships is some people want to move faster. Some people have quote unquote maybe fallen in love a whole lot faster faster. It's possible.
Yeah.
They have, been smitten
Mm.
a whole lot faster. That's an old word, but hey, it still works, right?
Good word choice there.
and it's not like the other person doesn't like them, but sometimes I think we move at a different pace.
Yeah.
And where this person might be, it's not like you won't get there, but you're not there yet.
Mm.
And a lot of times you'll see that, well, do you not love me, or whatever the case is. They do, but it's just that they haven't gotten there yet.
Connected to you.
Yeah.
I
Go
think-
ahead.
Oh, sorry to cut, but there's I'd say that there's probably I think that has to do with kind of like the way that we view relationships, and I mean especially for those of us who probably haven't been in as many,
Mhm.
or it probably has been a long time since they've been in a relationship. I'd say sometimes like that could be a factor as to why this person is moving faster. It could be a factor as to why this person wants to move slower. Is because I haven't been in a relationship, or
And they want to take it slow.
Yeah, and I mean, there was a relationship that I was in one time where we both moved too fast.
That can
And
happen.
and what's really interesting, you bring up the basis of friendship. You bring up the basis of friendship, and I totally believe this entirely, because if you really look at it, the relationships that work the best are the ones where people are friends.
Yeah.
It's like a tree.
Yeah.
It's like a tree where the roots of it all. If a relationship is a tree that grows and then eventually possibly bears fruit and different things like that, it has to have roots, and the roots then would be like friendship.
Yep.
The stronger the roots, the better the tree. The longer the trees.
Because the wind will blow.
That's right.
Things grow. Things grow down.
That's right. The wind will blow.
The wind will blow.
Yeah.
No, as you were saying that, I was thinking to myself, yeah, the wind will blow.
And
And you need some good
you
roots
need
up
some
that
good
tree.
roots, and
going.
that's
Yeah.
your friendship.
Yeah.
Because the truth is, especially in this day and age, and I'm not knocking anybody who does this, there's many an intimate encounter that's much more on a casual level that people experience in multiple ages, not even just in the young guys.
Yeah,
It's usually
young
it's usually the
female.
young
Yeah.
folks. It's
Yeah.
usually the young folks
That get blamed.
who get
Yeah.
blamed,
Yeah.
saying, "Oh yeah, these guys are just running around." I've heard about the older folks doing it too.
Yeah.
You guys aren't exempt just because you're
Because they are older, so
yeah, just because you guys are further up the hill and or
Yeah.
over it.
they say they know everything.
Yeah, that's a whole other argument. But what I'm
Yeah,
saying, what
get
I'm
back
saying
to it,
here, digressions aside, what I'm saying here is that in those situations, in those more casual, I like to say encounters. I'm looking for another word.
Hookups.
Yes, like hookups, or some people who probably have, they just have kind of like an intimate friendship. Not it's an intimate friendship, but it's not necessarily what you would consider like a full-on relationship. They're just
Friends with benefits.
They're friends with benefits.
I've seen that a lot.
Oh yeah, especially at our age, you see that a lot.
Hotline bling, basically.
You used to call me on my flip
Yeah.
phone.
Hotline bling relationship. Yeah, that's what that is.
Yeah, but essentially, I guess what I'm saying is that if you're in a relationship that sits on friendship, it's not the same thing. Those two people might be friends, but it's not like where everything comes from the fact that they're friends. It's not like their intimacy doesn't come from the fact that they're friends. Their intimacy comes from the fact that they want to be intimate. And that I think is the difference.
Yeah.
What would you say on that?
I believe that the friendship itself doesn't really matter whether these people have been friends for how long. What it matters is that if they've known each other, how deep. Because I'm this person that I can be with you, and you don't even know me, Why? Because you don't want to know me. Because I don't want to tell you who I am unless you ask me. I'm that person. You don't ask me, I don't tell you anything. So I want to keep quiet. So you want to know who this person is and all that. Then you start building this close friendship, then intimate friendship, and then you be in a relationship. Then you start dating. Because for me, it's different. Being a close friend and start dating, that's totally different thing. That's what I believe.
So you strike me as more of the cautious type.
Yeah.
Like you really gonna take your time to get to
To know the person.
to know the person.
Not that
before.
you're rushing and into stuff. Then before you find it, they're not the right ones.
So
you end up finding out.
what are some of the problems that we deal with in relationships, and how do we handle some of those problems? Such as, let me throw one out there. Why do issues of trust, how do you deal with or handle issues of trust and loyalty? Because those are key components, key parts to a relationship, trust and loyalty. And if you don't have them, you don't have a relationship.
Yeah, now this is a very particular thing, I'd say, requires that friendship. And that's why there's this particular kind of friendship that sits on a relationship, that a relationship sits on, because you guys have to be able to trust each other. I mean, you shouldn't be in a committed relationship with somebody who you don't trust. You know, like you can't say, hey, look, you know, like we have this issue. You guys should be able to talk about it, you know, with each other in a way where you guys know that where you guys can trust that you're going to be coming from a place where you guys
And that you're going to be open and honest.
Yeah, that you're going to be open and honest about it. That you're going to make sure that your concerns are heard, and that the other person's not going to shut you out, not going to diss you, you know.
Respects your views.
Respects your views,
Yeah.
and respects that you'll hear them and they'll hear you, and that the whole point of it is to come to a point where you guys are all right, you know, to get back to where you were.
Yeah. What do you think?
I think the key to a good relationship is singleness.
Explain.
The reason why I'm saying that is because before you meet somebody, you have to be you first. You have to understand who you are.
That's true.
Let me give you a really quick example. If I go take a test, if I study 1 hour before the test, what's going to happen? Probably I'm not going to make a good marks in that test. I have to make sure that I studied really well before I go in that test, right? Now, the bad thing that people are now doing nowadays is that they just jump in a relationship without knowing what they're going to find in there. So you gotta really.
So they're not prepared for the test of relationships.
Yes, not prepared for the relationship.
Yeah.
So you gotta be yourself. You gotta be single first,
Yeah.
understanding yourself,
Getting to know who you are.
then get in that relationship. Because that's why, if you don't know yourself, that's why you're gonna start cheating. You're gonna start abusing the person you're with. You're gonna start doing all that. But if you respect yourself and you know who you are, because I don't think anybody out there can want to disrespect himself. Because they value who they are, right?
Yeah.
So you want to be who you are first and value yourself before you invite somebody into your life.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
You know what's interesting about that, you know, I'd say that like the way we value ourselves, the way we value others, you know, a lot of that we learn in certain ways. Like I didn't really start like becoming okay with myself until I first moved out. And in order for me to move out, I literally had to kick myself out of my mom's place. Yeah. As a young guy, I had to kick myself out of my mom's place. And if I was to explain how that happened, it's ridiculous. But I ended up moving in with my best friend. We ended up getting our own apartments together, and I realized how much freedom I had. It was how much freedom I had to just focus on whatever it was I had to do. I set my own schedule. Sure, I had to go to work and all those things, but other than that, you know, I can do whatever I want.
Because you're not living at home.
Yeah.
Which it gives you a whole lot of time to have conversations with yourself.
That's the best time.
That's the best. And you start learning how you really feel, what you really think about. It's like having an ocean I've always kind of thought of like the mind and our thoughts as like an ocean and waves and different things, and you're like a sailboat inside of the ocean. You got a sail, or you got some paddles or what have you. And thoughts are like waves. You know, your thoughts are like waves. When you're not the only person making your own decisions in life, that's like having other ships around. That's like having people with their own things that they have to do. That's like them having
So
ships.
if they paddle or if they row, the waters could affect
That's
what's
right.
going on
That's
with your
right.
boat.
Yeah. So
as a bigger ship passes by, your little ship gets
but they want you to latch onto them
yeah.
as like or they want you to be a tugboat.
That could and not to let you lose your thought, but quickly that can happen in relationships where people are not interdependent, they're codependent, and that's a whole different
That's
thing.
a whole different thing, yeah. And I guess that's like when you're looking at that as far as like you being by yourself, being able to think and like I said, have conversations with yourself. It's like being able to calm your water, because the water itself is like your mind.
Yeah,
And
I see what you're saying.
you want to be able to sail easily, you know? So when you have things that are disturbing your mind, disturbing your thoughts, that's like having big waves, you know? That's why like having some like Captain Ahab, Moby Dick kind of stuff going on with, you know, perfect storm, like, you know, and you can't sail to where you want to go. You might get wrapped up in yourself. You might sink. You know, all of a sudden you're not.
And that reminds me, I think for some life coaching classes that I do, I always tell them that it's really hard to have a really good relationship if you don't love yourself.
Yeah.
That's right.
Because if you don't love yourself, I mean, someone can love you even if you don't love yourself. That's possible. But if you don't love yourself and someone is in love with you, then that just makes for a crazy dynamic.
Well,
Because you don't
yeah.
appreciate stuff about yourself, and it's easy for you to self-sabotage the relationship because
You don't love yourself.
There's
self-worth. It's not
Somebody used to call it self-worth.
that.
yes,
You gotta have some self-worth for yourself before somebody else have it for you.
Yeah.
Eartha Kitt, you could probably find this video on YouTube. It's a pretty famous video of Eartha Kitt. She's doing this interview in what looks like it's like her backyard, sitting like on a table on a patio, and it's like this whole thing about her and like love and relationships, and she says something that stuck with me in that, and it was they said like, do you love yourself? Like it was something having to do with like how you approach relationships, or do you make compromises for like do you change yourself to make this relationship and work? And she was like, for what? Change for what? And then she eventually said something along the lines of, I don't remember the context of how it eventually got to this, but she said, I share my love for myself with someone else. And that's
really
it was really interesting that she said that.
I think I get that.
And it made sense. It made absolute sense. It's like, how can you love somebody else if you don't love yourself?
Yeah.
How can you share your love without at
If
first
you don't have
having
anything to
love?
share.
You don't love anything except for, you know.
Because people will argue and say that even the Bible say, love your neighbor as you love yourself. It's not like
That's true.
you gotta love yourself first before you love the neighbor. So
Right.
you gotta love yourself before you love somebody else.
Mhm,
And you gotta have principle, all those kinds
That's
of
right.
principle and all that. That if this don't happen, I don't want to change.
Mhm.
I don't want to change for somebody else.
Change is an interesting thing, and you talked about compromise. There's a difference between compromise and settling.
Yeah.
Because one of the things I think that's critical in a relationship is having boundaries. And you got to be, how can someone talk to you? What are you going to allow someone to treat you, or whatever the case is? But what happens is, going back to what you were saying, a lot of times when we like someone, we move the boundary line because we think if we keep it there, the person is not going to like us or stay or whatever the case is. So you keep moving it back. When you keep moving it back, what's actually happening is you're encouraging things that you don't like.
Yeah.
So 2 years or 3 years after, when you try to say, well, you know, actually I don't like so and so, the person will then say to you, well, you're switching it up on me. What happened?
Like,
Because
why are
you're,
you doing that?
yeah, why you
tell me
you're
that.
acting different
Yeah.
or whatever the case is.
Like-
Why didn't you tell me that?
Yeah, it's like, we've been doing this for 3 years.
Because the reason why the person is now with you is because you encouraged certain things. That's why they
Love
stuck
it.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah. So compromising is, and I want y'all's opinion on it, I guess. What is the difference between compromising and settling? Because when you settle, it means like, you know, you're basically going with anything.
You're just dealing with it.
Yeah, when you compromise, that's different. What do you think the difference?
Well, I think compromising is letting something you don't want to happen just because you like the person. And settling is kind of the same because like there is nothing else.
Okay.
There's nothing else. Let me just stay with this.
Yeah.
And that is a lack of principle. If that's lack of principle, if you have principles and you stick with them, I don't think somebody needs to compromise or just settling for less.
Yeah. Okay. What do you?
It's the word that's coming to mind a lot here is sacrifice, because the question is, I mean, a lot of times, like if there was something that somebody does or things like that, that maybe you're not necessarily agreeing with. When you think of compromise, you think like, well, maybe we can. It's almost like coming to an agreement on something or something like
Negotiation.
Negotiation.
Yeah.
I feel like, I mean, sometimes there's a need for this kind of thing. I really sometimes hope there is. I more often hope there isn't a need for this kind of a thing, simply because I know we're all very different from each other, but, you know, I guess it's just, sometimes it seems kind of sad, you know? Like, when somebody has to say, oh yeah, I mean, I really don't like this about this person, but I'll just kind of deal with it because...
Yeah. No, that's settling.
That's settling.
That's
Yeah.
settling.
That's
Yeah.
settling.
Yeah.
But then it's like, but when you say, like, when you voice, hey, look, I really don't like this, and they say, well, maybe I could do this.
Yeah.
That's, you know, like where you guys are both trying to work on it, because like where your own thoughts matter a lot to each other.
Yeah. Which means you respect the person, and you respect that. Excuse me. You respect them to the point that you know whatever you do can affect the person.
And
so you're willing to compromise so
Yeah.
that the person can also.
And I think somebody who, because we're talking about relationships here, somebody who loves you will be able to respect your boundaries and will be able to respect
Yeah.
wherever you are putting yourself, say, I can do this and this and this. Somebody who loves you will respect that.
So now that you brought it up, let me throw this in here. We're talking about boundaries. Cell phones, email addresses, Facebook passwords, all those. Are those things necessary to have or not? I have to ask. Are they necessary to have?
Here comes the
Should I have the password to your phone, your email, your Facebook, your Instagram to see who's DMing you? Or whatever it is?
This needs the trophy for the most unfair question. It really does.
Let's answer it.
Because this is the most unfair question ever, and I'm going to explain why. Because if you really look at it, it's like one of those weird things where it's like on one end it's well, we're in such a good relationship, and we trust each other and love each other so much, we respect each other so much,
Loyalty.
that we don't need to look at each other's that we don't need to
Cell
look at each other's cell phones and stuff, you know. But then on the other hand, it's like we respect each other so much and we trust each other so much that we both give each other everything.
Why can't I
so
see
it's like,
it?
why can't I
Yeah.
see it? And the question then becomes, which one of those is really what it is? Because it's kind of like it could go either way, but at the same time, it's like it should go neither way.
No.
And
you got to be careful how you talk about it too.
But then,
you bring it up.
but it's not like one of those things where you know you can mix black and white and get gray. You know, like it's either you give them the password or you
Or
don't
not.
give them the
Yeah.
password. It's
And
not like
if you're hesitant in handing it over,
Then there's something you're hiding.
Hey, what's going on
it's like,
here, right?
Look, you're gonna like, oh, I'll give you half the password.
No, you can't,
You know,
you gotta
like,
go
no,
all in.
because it doesn't work.
No, you gotta go
it
all
doesn't
in.
work.
I mean,
Yeah.
you can give it, then change it away next time.
Yeah, but no.
But then at the same time, it's like on both sides of that is like, it's trust.
It is.
And I guess it comes down to the way people view trust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it comes down to, I guess, like personal security and stuff too. Because like, for instance, I have like you know, my computer account. You know, I'm always logged in on my desktop computer, and my girlfriend likes to use my desktop computer. Really, I don't have a problem with her using my
Yeah.
desktop computer.
Because you're not hiding anything.
Well, yeah, she has my password only because she, like, you know, she already got it. And I didn't really care much when I gave it to her. But the truth of it is, I'd rather have her own account simply, and I'll probably change my password just because I'd rather have my stuff organized. I'm just a very big organization person.
Okay.
So like, if I come back and like, you know, I come back and I go and like 10 things I hate about you is playing on my computer instead of like the music project that I was working on.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be like, why? What? Like,
Yeah.
why?
Why you touch this? Yeah.
And it's not that I'm gonna be mad at her. It's just gonna be like, I really wish that she was on her own account. You know, it's like when somebody's on your Netflix or something.
Mm.
Like my sister, she'll be on my Netflix, and my mom, she'll use my Netflix, and all of a sudden, I'm getting like these like
These suggestions.
Getting these suggestions
Yeah,
for like
I get those a lot.
for like the corniest horror movies ever made. That you're surprised that anybody ever put like money towards to make, and that's not what I want.
That's
to
why
watch.
they're Netflix.
It's the same thing, you know.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
What do you think?
I think issues with cell phones. I also asked married couples. They're kind of married. I asked them the same question. Do you think you should give your wife your password?
Oh, yeah.
And this guy was like, once you say no to that, that's the end of your marriage. That's what this guy told me. Once you say no to that, trust me.
Because then it seems like you're hiding something. Yeah, it's
This is how he told me. Once you do that, trust me, that's it. The trust ends from there.
yeah.
But for me, I think, if you guys are married, there's nothing to hide.
Mm-hmm.
There's really nothing to hide. It also comes from the issue of singleness, because this is person that you are now connected together. This is one thing you know, everything you share. So there's nothing to actually hide. If you are really engaged and serious about the relationship, there's nothing to hide. But if you are not too serious, we can have personal stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I believe in personal stuff even
Yeah.
when you're in a great relationship. You know, like I believe in personal things just simply because, like, for instance, for the reason that I just said, it like as far as like the way that we like things organized. Sometimes we think different ways. I mean, I'm not saying necessarily because of like if we're both using the same thing frequently, then yeah, that's a good reason to. That's a good reason to like each have your own version of that thing.
Okay.
But if it's just something like along the lines of oh, well, I just need to see your phone real quick, you know, or I need to log into your Facebook, or, you know, I don't know. It's just
Why you
that's-
want to look on
that's-
Facebook?
that's
You
why
have
it's
your own
just-
Facebook account.
I know, right? Why you want to look at it? You have your own.
Yeah.
And that's where it's just like,
Yeah.
you know.
But that is kind of person that he don't use Facebook, and he don't have a password on his phone. The same thing with my mom.
Yeah.
You can get to their phones when you want to. No password on their phones. And I'm like, so this is them, but it's not me. If it works for them, it's not. You know.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it's a good
I think
thing.
it's a security thing too, because if I was to forget my phone somewhere, I wouldn't want someone who I don't
Just
know
going to the phone.
just going into my phone. So I would definitely want to have.
Actually, my phone, if you take it away and just remove the SIM card, you're gonna sound an alarm, and the police are gonna come for you. So you wanna do that? You tell my father 3 times, he fails, alarm gonna sound. So you wanna do that?
All right, so let's move on. What are some other challenges